we look forward to seeing a bunch of people there. We know that people have been really eager for in-person events, and we have one more event to share with you, as well as a special guest to help share about this event. So I'm going to introduce her first, none other than Susan Leopold of the United Plant Savers, who also are in charge of the in charge of is probably not the term, but of the International Herb Symposium, which we'll be talking about next. Thanks for joining us to talk about the next event for the International Herb Symposium.
Hi, Susan. You're muted.
Oh, now we're going to have a mute war too. Sorry about that.
Okay, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to add really quick, Matt, have you ever heard of the Brown Mountain Lights up in Boone, North Carolina?
No.
Well, when I think, I don't know, I was young, maybe 14, 15 years old. I went to visit a friend up there. And it's this lookout. And at night, you can see these magical lights refracting in the sky. And there's all kinds of mythology about it. So when you were describing your shamanic retreat up in Boone, North Carolina, I got kind of goosebumps. So definitely go see the Brown Mountain Lights. It was definitely a moment for me as like a young person, believing in the other world, believing in what's beyond the stars, what we see, what's real, what's not. So anyways, it's a pretty shamanic geological space, Boone, North Carolina, and the Brown Mountain Lights are definitely add that to your give yourself some time to go visit. And I'm sure once you're there, everybody will talk about it. There's so many mythology and theories, but I'm super excited. It just sounds awesome, the shamanic retreat. So
you're kind of a native to that whole region. You live in right now, but it's kind of the northern edge of your Boone kind of, and your people are from the Rappahannock, or from Lee's Lynchburg and so on.
Lynchburg,
so right in between. Yeah.
So. Anyways, I love that region.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about the International Herb Symposium and a lot of the themes that you talked about in these earlier courses, and just really acknowledging the kind of core elements of how the International Herb Symposium came about, with Rosemary wanting to bring in all different perspectives from different cultures and communities, that there was no one way to herbalism, right? It was really about learning all the different pathways. And over the course of the International Herb Symposium, going on for nearly 40 years, every other year, Rosemary's brought people from all over the world that have shared their traditions and knowledge. And so this year's theme, it's moving to Cincinnati. And so just really want to honor the history of the Eclectics. And I think the Eclectics were pretty spiritual herbalists in their practice.
I think so.
So this is an opportunity to really honor the history of the Eclectics. And the location is in the historic Memorial Hall. And the capacity is around 600 people. So it'll be slightly smaller than the International up in Boston. And it's just 2 to 3 blocks from the Lloyd Library. So there'll be a lot of collaboration with the Lloyd. They'll be doing an exhibit and, offering opportunities for participants to come by the library. So it's going to be different and unique. And I'm super excited. We hope to announce the teachers and the classes and early registration towards the end of February. And I think this will be a much more affordable option for folks, because you'll be responsible for your lodging, So that'll, allow for, opportunities for people to, get some lodging together or stay with friends. And I think it's going to be super fun. The other part I want to bring up too is we're going to have opportunities for people to come visit the sanctuary before the event, come to the sanctuary after the event. United Plant Savers Sanctuary is about just over 2 hours from Cincinnati. And we're really, Cincinnati is in the far western part of Ohio, but to drive to the sanctuary, you head to the southern part of Ohio, but midway is Serpent Mound. So it's the perfect opportunity to do a pilgrimage to Serpent Mound if you've never been, and to also come and visit the sanctuary and see what we're doing, expanding our botanical library, our propagation efforts, and all kinds of things we're doing at the sanctuary that we're excited for people to come and visit and see if it works into their travel plans.
Yeah, I just was thinking, why would we think the Eclectics were spiritual? I think we can. First, they did use very small dilution, not exactly the same way as the homeopaths, but we'd be talking about drops per, like 1 drop per glass almost, or something like that. It's very small, 1x, 2x, 3x, and homeopathy, they used a different scale, but they do. So you have to believe in something, in the power of the herb at least, which is a little bit more metaphysical. Of course, the homeopaths, they were way out there, so they were very spiritual. A lot of the American homeopaths of the 19th century were Swedenborgians because the view was particularly suited there. A lot were Quakers too. My own family, my great-grandfather was a Quaker, delivered by his cousin who was a homeopathic Quaker homeopathic physician. And but the Eclectics, to believe in specific medicine the way they did, to look for the specific symptom and understand that can go with an herb, that's really looking for a configuration. That's really that finding the archetype, really. And the archetype is implied in all that. And in fact, the difference between herbalism and homeopathy, or rather eclecticism, was that for them, not only was the symptom indicating the plant, but the condition, because they believed in physiology much more. They used physiology much more than the homeopaths. So that really helps to show that element. I haven't found any writings by any of them on spiritual subjects, except for Dr. Buchanan. He was almost in the very first generation. He talked about things like kind of the 7 octaves, based kind of on Hippocrates. And then I've always thought it was interesting that Scudder, the great founder of specific medicine, his daughter married John Waterhouse, the famous painter, and she was a famous late 19th century, whatever they're called, those kind of imaginative realists. So his family was connected to some pretty interesting kind of movements in the world. So at any rate, so I don't know, there may be more, at the library, there may be things to discover, but you just almost can feel that spiritual orientation of that group of people.
Yeah. And I don't know, I dropped out for a minute, but I'm back. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just going to emphasize, that they, especially the Lloyd brothers, seem to be real seekers, right? And,
yeah, right. There we go. Really.
Yeah. And Curtis, they supported him traveling around the world to collect, knowledge and learn from indigenous people. And so you get this sense that they were really building upon the knowledge of the ancients and had a extreme reverence for it. And,
yes.
And then we're trying to take it to the next level. And,
you
get into some of the early occult writings and Etidofa and, what were what were the stories, trying to reveal that they were trying to leave for us to discover?
Yeah. I had forgotten. I have such a hard time understanding that book that I had forgotten. That's John R. A. Lloyd. So you're quite right. He was an occult spiritual person, very deep that way, and probably his brother. And they were Welsh, I presume. So they had that extra dash of.
Yeah, and let's not forget our favorite person, Rafinesque, who.
Yes.
I mean, talk about being a divine seeker or a polymath or just someone who wanted to absorb nature in every single capacity he could, and really kind of documenting how diverse the eclectics were in their theories and how they approached medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, Rafinesque, who was of French descent, born in Istanbul, of all things, on the faculty of the University of Transylvania in Kentucky. Yep. I mean, this sounds like something made up.
Yeah.
And then he spent years studying with Native American herbal teachers, medicine men and women, doctoring Native families. And he documented the Red Record, the Delaware, the Olam Wolam, which modern scientists say, oh, that's all just made up. He just forged the whole thing. It's like, I can give you evidence that is like absolute proof he did not forge it. And that is an actual record of the Delaware people moving from Siberia, really, all the way to New Jersey and then back.
It seemed far-fetched back then, but right? I mean, it's I realize. Yeah, you're Southern. That would be Southern Algonquin people, I think. Yeah. And so you're in that same. Well, we're akin. I'm just a tad Delaware, but so I feel a little strongly about that about the Red Record. But that'd be the Shawnee, the Delaware, the Nantichoke, and then smaller people. Well, I suppose the Powhatans, and then all those small Virginia Indian tribes, which so many of which still exist under the radar. Yeah. And so the Red Record, interesting. Yeah. So we need to teach about Rafinesque. Yeah. I had not put this all together the way you are, but yeah, I've been obsessing about it for about a year now. And
good for you.
So I hope people appreciate the deep dive as much as I am, and then I hope people take it to another level. I hope the international draws in who needs to, connect with these stories, and I hope it charges the next generation to dive deeper into these stories within their practice.
Yes. Yeah,
so it's going to be a one-off. You know what I mean? This is going to be a really, unique herbal event. I mean, of course, we're going to have classes that will be pre-recorded and recorded, and some of it will be put online. But I really encourage people, if they can be there in person, mark it on your calendar. It'll be a really unique event, and I feel like, one of those moments where a lot of synchronicities are going to happen. People are going to start to make connections. They're going to meet people. People are going to be connected. That I feel like will lead to lifelong, learning. And that's, it's so important. And we have so few of these opportunities these days. So I do hope that if people feel called, they really try to make it in person. And then certainly we're going to try and document as much as we can and put it on the online version as well.
Yeah, so you'll have a place. I have a few papers I can contribute already, that some of which may be on my institute website, but a lot of them aren't. And I do want to. I would like to, document that about the Red Record and Rafinesque and the Lenni Lenape or Delaware people, and get some of these up there. So little by little, so. You guys look forward to, we will be, I know I at least will donate some papers. Maybe we can get David Winston too, or people to donate. Yeah. So David is another person deeply involved here, just in the planning, even though, 6 months ago, it was more like daydream, So it gets realer and realer as we get closer, but
absolutely.
Yeah. So
Stay tuned for, sort of an end of February early bird registration, and we hope to make it really affordable and accessible.
Yeah.
And then there'll be, some really fun side events. Like I said, a reception at the Lloyd Library, and some, different sites that people might want to see in Cincinnati, and some herb walks. And the Memorial Hall is a beautiful historical venue that sits right in front of a gorgeous park. And so there'll be lots of opportunities for people to be, hang out with friends and, be in the park, have access right there to Over the Rhine, where all the different, food and lodging. And so I think it'll be really different, but I think people are going to really enjoy kind of what Cincinnati has to offer. And, Cincinnati was on the site of ancient mounds, and all kinds of artifacts have been found in Cincinnati. It really was kind of an epicenter, I feel like, for, Native American tribes that lived over, thousands of years in the Ohio River Valley. It was where the Cincinnati tablet was found. Excuse my cough. But so there's an energy to what Cincinnati was as like the Western frontier, and as, sort of a stronghold of some of the eclectic schools of medicine, certainly the specific medicines and the Lloyd Library. And so I really feel like there's multiple layers to this experience of being a part of the International Herb Symposium. And yeah, so I'm super excited. A lot of work ahead of me.
Yes. We look so forward to it.
Yeah.
So do people subscribe to the United Plant Savers email? Is that the best place to go to?
Yeah, that's the best place. Yep. Because we'll be sending out the announcement to the United Plant Savers email list for sure, and then hopefully, information will spread via Instagram and all those other venues. But yeah, it seems like it's harder and harder to connect with people. So we certainly do our best to make sure we can kind of reach everybody and let them know what's going on.
Yep. That's what we're doing here, because so many people, I think we crave, right, that connection.
Yeah.
And you need to stay in touch virtually in order to stay in touch physically.
Yeah.
Strange conundrum.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad that we all got together, and what a nice intro to the Eclectics as well. Not only about the event, but I loved, Susan, as you were describing about the event and about having it locally near to you, where all the UPS goings on are.
Yeah.
It just sounds like very, while it's not how the International Herb Symposium was typically conducted, but it'll have that UPS flavor. And also, I love the idea of the field trips and be able to go to the library, and so really having a very enriched experience.
Yep, totally. It's going to be really different, and I think there's going to be a lot for people to get out of it and take into their herbal path or their practice.
Yeah, that sounds
super
great.
Excited.
Sounds wonderful. So today we're talking about 3 ways that you can join Matthew this summer for some in-person teaching. We have the Herbal Wisdom series. We have the Shamanism and Herbalism retreat. And then, of course, we just ended here with International Herb Symposium at the end of the summer in September. And to find out more details on each of those and upcoming events that I'm sure will be added to the calendar, especially local events. If you're in Minnesota and Wisconsin, there will be certainly events added to the calendar. Make sure you're subscribed to the Matthew Wood Institute of Herbalism newsletter. You can do so on the homepage, and check out our calendar. Wherever you see the airplane emoji is when Matt's going to be traveling. If you click on that, it will say the state that he's going to be in. And we'll be adding to this, I'm sure. It's going to be a fun and exciting summer. Perfect for a Gemini.
Yeah.
Traveling around. Susan, is there any other information you'd like to give for people to be in touch with you, the International Herb Symposium, and the United Plant Savers?
No, I just think sign up for our email list if you haven't already, and we always encourage people to become members. So, yeah.
Good. Well, have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you are interested in learning more, you can visit our website at matthewwoodinstituteofherbalism.com. You can find all of our social links in the description below. Also, please subscribe to our channel so you can keep up with the latest videos.